Good evening. It's now 6 p.m. and the East Long Meadow Public Library Board of Library Trustees meeting of November 15th, 2017 has been opened. First item of business is to take attendance. I am Charlie Gray.
I am Diane Tiago.
Cindy McNaught.
Melanie Mannheim.
Layla Johnston.
Let the record show we're being recorded by our friends at LCAT for future presentations. The first order of business is the meeting minutes of October 25th. Has everyone received a copy of those minutes? And I believe, Layla, you sent them out by over the computer earlier, and I looked them over myself, and I thought they were fine, and I didn't see anything that was inconsistent with what happened or anything that raised questions in my mind. That being said, does anyone have any comments, questions, additions, or corrections? Diane, you've done your usual fine job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
Madam Secretary, I should say. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the October 25th meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 25th, 2017.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And no one opposed. They are approved. Guests' opportunity to address the board. A few moments ago, we had a few members of the Conservation Commission come in here. They could have been our guests, but they decided to go to their own meeting. Their loss, maybe our loss. But we do not have, I do not see any guests, so we'll move on to the next item of business, which is the director's report. Layla, you're on.
We did have to close the library on Monday, October 30th due to the town-wide power outage. The town manager ended up closing town hall and our facility as well. Luckily, we did get power restored later that night, and we're able to reopen on Tuesday, October 31st.
Did you miss that, Charlie?
I was in Maine, and we were out of power for 7 days.
I know, I heard Maine was really badly hit.
So,
Yeah.
you dodged a bullet, we didn't.
Well, we did have
We
the
were out
psychic
for the day.
scheduled for that
Yeah.
evening, so he has rescheduled. I just want to know if he had an inkling beforehand.
Did he know?
To keep the rescheduled date available. I'll ask him when he's here next week.
Yeah, we're in a couple weeks. Good.
He knew ahead of time there was going to be trouble. Huh? Well, that's good. That's good. Tell him when they open the casino, I want to meet him.
Okay.
We do have a new streaming service that we're going to try out for East Long Meadow Library card holders, and it's called Quello, is how you pronounce that.
Quello?
Quello, and that will allow patrons with an East Long Meadow Library card to stream thousands of concerts and music documentaries in high-quality formats, create playlists, and select from over 30 music genres, including classical, rock, reggae, and country. You can access Quello on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV, Sony PlayStation, from your iPad or other tablet. And I thought the interesting way to try this out, to see if we would have interest, the theme for summer reading for next year is Libraries Rock. So we're going to have a lot of music-related programming. Our subscription does include performance rights. So we'll be able to have public viewings of these high-quality concerts and documentaries at no additional cost to the service. So I thought that would be a good tie-in for programs for children and adults. Next up, the town attorney was given a copy of the social media policy draft to review. And the town manager did compliment us on the timeliness of the policy. I received a notice that we were certified for fiscal year 18 by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. The first half of our monetary award is $15,327.80, similar to what we got last year.
Yeah.
We can expect the first half of our state aid to public libraries in the next few weeks, and the second half in the last quarter of fiscal 2018. I did have they always send us a fancy certificate with a nice seal on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have that too.
That's very
Nice.
official.
It is, isn't it?
What is that, Leila?
This is the official certification and seal with the Board of Library Commissioners' signature on there.
Lily, can I just ask you,
Yeah.
is that Quelo spelled correctly? There's no U?
It is, there's no U.
I've
Yeah.
never seen a Q without a U.
I know, right?
This must be lonely. Only Q.
This is, I know I'm jumping back, but I'd just like to take a moment, because this is a very important certification for us and for the town.
Yeah.
It's presented by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, and it's granted on the basis of compliance with the following: the municipal appropriation, that's the budgeting from our town, that it's open and accessible to all residents of the Commonwealth, which it is. We do not charge for normal library services. We must be kept open a minimum number of hours per week, and that we track. I know, Leila, you track them very carefully,
Yes.
and that's an exact number, and we are required to report on it and verify it in order to get our oars in the water to qualify for this certification. Employ a library director meeting the required educational level, which we do. In fact, Leila exceeds the educational level. I think Masters of Library Science, I believe it's called. That's a pretty good designation. Expend a reasonable portion of the library's operating budget on library materials. That's another line item in the report that we provide every year. And basically, the intent of the library commissioners is that we continue to be relevant by way of our collection and what we're offering the public. And as the needs of the public change, we expect to be in a position to buy new materials, and that's absolutely critical to a vibrant, strong library, which we are. Lend books to other certified libraries in the Commonwealth, and extend privileges to holders of cards issued by other public libraries in the Commonwealth on a reciprocal basis. And we do that, we take advantage of it, and other people take advantage of our collection. So the delivery system has gotten terrific, frankly, and although we do have space challenges with the delivery of books in and books out, it's a function of our configuration here, but we do a remarkably good job of getting people who need books from away the books that they can use for their pleasure or for their research. This is a terrific certification to get, and qualifies us for state aid, which is also terrific.
Yep.
Wanna look at it?
And may I add, this is your first time doing all that statistical?
Yes,
Oh,
this was my
So-
first,
so-
for here, yeah, I've done them in
Yes.
Illinois, but for Massachusetts, this was my first
Was
My
it-
first
was this
go-around.
So-
more convoluted than Illinois?
This was much more strict.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, it had several more layers to the requirements in Massachusetts, including the open hours. And also the materials expenditure is very different in Illinois. Here it's higher, which I think is a benefit for
It
the
is a
patrons. Absolutely. But yes, this was my first time.
Yep, so
Good job.
based on what I see that we will be receiving, obviously, not only is the statistical report that they received, it was received there like on time,
Right.
before
Yes.
on time, et cetera, because it looks to me like we're getting a significant amount. And it's the later that a library submits, I believe
might
it.
not be
trickles down.
You know, so I certainly am very, very pleased and happy, and I thank you
I think
very
we
much
all
for,
are.
Thank you.
for staying on top of it and plugging through on that one too, so thank you
Yeah,
so
and not-
much.
And not saying this is my first time, so, you know. this,
Oh, no,
you
oh,
know.
no. We're gonna meet or beat that deadline.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And you certainly did.
Yeah,
Certainly.
It is important, and
It
it,
is.
related to patron services, this is mostly goes towards technology and our membership fee with CW Mars. And that
Right.
provides all of those services that Charlie was
Right.
describing with the shared catalog, resources for everyone. It's important.
Yeah, now, did the delivery service statewide get cut in the state budget?
It did. It did not impact East Long Meadow because what they started with was eliminating Saturday delivery.
Oh.
We don't get Saturday delivery, but it did impact a lot of libraries in this region as well as libraries on the Cape in particular. Mhm. Yeah, so
Oh, this
for
isn't
now, we
the
were able to
trend.
maintain, but other libraries in the area were definitely impacted, particularly also libraries
So
on
we're
the
still
Cape.
getting 3 deliveries a week?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it might go down to 2.
There were a couple of libraries in some of the more northern rural areas that are part of CW Mars that had to choose. You know, do you want to do Tuesday or Wednesday or?
Oh,
So they were not very happy,
no.
but
Yeah,
it's
'cause
a
that's
tough
their
situation.
lifeline almost.
It is tough. Mhm.
That's good news, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
good news.
That's a good place to interrupt, but you may continue.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad that
Yeah,
we
we're just
received
excited
it.
about that, as you
Exactly.
can
I always
see.
like to interrupt where there's good news.
Yeah.
The last order of business is simply, this is the last process, if you are interested, I should point out, in accessing what used to be called your paycheck stubs. It's now called your advice, I think they call it advice document. I call it a check stub still, I guess I'm old
I
fashioned.
do it too.
It's all delivered electronically to your town email address. And if you need any assistance setting up your email, I have all of the instructions included here. You can come in and ask Sharon for help or anybody who's working at the information desk. The only thing I would also like to draw your attention to is if you are not concerned about your advice date, the W-2 and your year-end tax information will be mailed to you.
Oh,
So if you don't ever want to log into this town email account, if you feel like you have, some people have 2, 3 personal accounts, they don't want yet another
Right.
account, it will merely kind of hang out there. The information will still be there if you ever want it, but your year-end tax information will be mailed to you.
like it in hand.
So you prefer the mail?
Well,
then?
I'll do both probably.
Okay.
But if I do the town email, will I still get the snail mail one?
What'll happen is, if you decide that you wanna, in your case, reactivate your town email,
Yeah,
at the end of the year, when it comes tax time for all of those W-2s and things,
Yeah.
you know, next year, you'll receive a notice from the town accountant that you have the option to go online, select electronic delivery.
Oh.
That does happen faster. If you do not select that option, it will be mailed to you.
oh, okay.
So you can do nothing, and everything will flow as it's been, and then you'll receive your W-2 in the mail. Or you have the option to, if you want to take a look at your
Right.
advice document, you can log in and look at it through your email. And if you have any questions,
And
let
is
me know.
that the only thing that will come to that email?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That will be the only, all correspondence from me will continue to come from I will continue to send that to any email that I have on file. I
For
won't
us,
suddenly
okay.
start using
That one.
the town emails unless you ask me to.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any other, the only information that you would be receiving would be related to the stipend. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah. That's all I have.
But, so we have to get a password
you.
if we want to.
Yes, if you would like to set up, you go to gmail.com, you enter in, for example, mine is layla.johnston@eastlongmeadow.gov. You'll get a temporary password from IT, the IT department, you would call them. You would put in your temporary password, and then it will prompt you upon logging in to change to your permanent, more secure password, and then you'll have access to anything that would be in there, which would be these check stubs.
Okay.
All set?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to accept the director's report dated November 15th,
I'll make a-
2017?
Sure. So moved. I'll make
Alright.
the motion.
Diane, yes?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
To accept the
Thank-
report is for today.
Thank you.
All
I'll
right.
second the motion.
Cindy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. For information purposes, Leila has provided us with a current financial report in the new and improved format. You can tell it's new and improved because it has wings on the back of it. And Leila, do you have any comments on this? Are there any surprises in this?
No surprises. I feel pretty good about where we're at as far as expenditures year to date.
Yeah.
We're right on track, and I think we're in good fiscal shape.
I think you are too.
Say that again slowly. No, I'm
10 times.
I'm kidding. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, the state aid to public libraries, that's the amount that's reflected here is the second half of last year's state aid amount. So you can see it's about $300 more than what we received for the first half of this year, this fiscal year. So you're absolutely right, Leila. It's although it is a small decrease, it's not material to our operations, and thank goodness we weren't affected badly. It's a amount of money that we look forward to getting and we need in order to operate. So anything else? Any other questions about the informational financial report? Okay, that's fine. Moving right along, we're approaching rapidly new business. Before we do new business with the consent of the group, there are two things that I'd like to, oh, wait a minute. I'll defer until we get to old business. New business, review book award guidelines. This refers to the East Long Meadow Board of Library Trustees Book Award that we present we have presented for the past several years to a member of the junior class of East Long Meadow High School from us as trustees on behalf in recognition of outstanding young people who have indicated by their work and by their intellectual interest and participation an appreciation, understanding, and value to libraries. And I assume that you wanted to look at the guidelines because I have here a document that's called Draft 10-4-12. So that must have been the draft that was prepared October 4th of 2012. Looks like maybe over 5 years ago now. And I believe if we check the notes or the minutes, this was pretty much word for word the resolution that was adopted by unanimously by the Board of Library Trustees at the next subsequent meeting to this draft being prepared, as I remember it anyway. But this is essentially, this is the guideline. These are the guidelines under which we've been operating for the past 5 years, I believe. So, Leila, I'll turn it over to you.
The section that I had some questions about, and again, last year was my first year of, I guess it's still this year, was the first time that I had participated in the book award process. Was under the award number 3. What we did was give the award to the actual student. We didn't present it.
The monetary.
Correct.
Let me read that then. It's an extract. There are criteria, there are a number of criteria here. Basically, the description of this award is presented by the Board of Library Trustees to a junior at East Long Meadow High School. There are 3 parts to the presentation. A book, which has generally been selected by our library director and the committee from the library that she appoints. Second, an award certificate, which has been very nice, signed by the library director and the chair of the Board of Library Trustees. And at the discretion of the Board of Library Trustees, a modest monetary stipend either to the individual or to the high school library made in the name of the award recipient. And that's the question that you've raised.
Yeah.
Just from a historical perspective, we have, let me talk about the stipend. A lot of people wonder, not a lot, maybe 1 or 2, wonder about a stipend being paid out of a municipal organization, which we are. This we designed specifically and particularly not to spend taxpayers' money on. It was felt that the Board of Library Trustees individually wanted to make a modest, really relatively modest, contribution to these young people who we value in our community. And as such, we've characterized it as being a presentation made from the Board of Library Trustees as a group. We did this because we felt that it's always easier for people to spend other people's money. And we did not want to be put in a position of saying we were spending 1 cent, we were awarding 1 cent of any taxpayer's money to an individual. We, as individuals, donated the money. Whatever it is, we converted into basically a stipend or a gift to the deserving junior member of the junior class at East Long Meadow High School. Administratively, in the past, it simply worked. We each gave our individual donations to the library director. Library director made a note of it. None of us have ever known, we never knew what amounts were given by whom.
Yeah.
Nor did we know the amount that was given to the individual recipients. The only person who knew that is the library director, was the library director. I did not know, nobody knew, except for my own donation. Last year, one individual shared with me, with us, what his donation was, and that was the first time that was shared. But even in spite of that, we didn't know what the total amount was. I still don't. I don't want to know. Whatever the amount is, however, we rely on the good graces of our library director to pass it on in the form of it's a stipend, a recognition, whatever we've called it, to the recipient. And all of them have been very grateful, so I assume it's a nice thing. Okay. In addition, they get a book. Now, we do allow the library, because we're in the book business, and books are purchased by our library. And they understand, nobody really understands better about books and young people and what young people would appreciate, and especially young people who are interested in libraries, appreciate and value than our library staff and the committee, the director, and certainly the committee that she has worked with in the selection of the individual. So we do allow a book to be purchased through the good grace of our library. The monetary award is from us, whatever we feel is appropriate to gift this young person. We don't really involve ourselves in the selection. That's done by the committee. And that's actually in the third paragraph. The recommendation of the award shall be made by a selection committee co-chaired by the library director and the principal of the high school, and or their designees, and such additional individuals as may be invited to participate by the co-chairs. So this is really a joint effort, even though we've got our name and fingerprints all over it. It's really a joint effort of us and the high school. We talked about the selection criteria. We reserved the right of approval of the final approval of the award by the Board of Library Trustees, and this final approval has really been designated to our library director. A presentation is made in the spring of the year at the awards assembly, and this year it was great because Diane Tiago was there in addition to Layla, and all of her friends and former co-workers from the high school and from the school department came over and congratulated her on her fine effort. Many of them thanked her for making the award, which I thought was very nice. But historically, it's been very well received by the high school, by the administration, by the superintendent of schools. I've talked to him about it. It's also been nice for us to get to know some wonderful young people, many of whom have spent more hours in this library. Cindy brought many of them up. She remembers when they were learning how to read. And that's really a great thing for our community. So, the modest monetary stipend. Well, I'm not entirely sure where we want to go with this. I would share with you that it was the feeling of the board as then constituted that we did not want to burden the taxpayers with what was really an award that we felt strongly about making. And we also felt that the easiest thing for governmental entities to do is to spend other people's money. And we did not want to spend other people's money. So we're spending our own money. Now, if the feeling of the board has changed, I'll be more than happy to entertain discussion on that point. There are some other things that we could think about, perhaps if there are difficulties in the way this has been structured and has been working, and I would defer to you, Layla, if you know of any, or if you...
Well, I was just going to ask, maybe we could add in the wording, something like a modest monetary stipend given to the individual by donation. Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, something to clarify, just so that it's
Sure.
Yeah.
in the wording, that it's, like you said, it's everyone on the board donating. It's not me giving away the.
You do not.
The funds or
You
anything.
don't give away anything.
Yeah.
It was intended to be a flow-through.
Right.
In other words, you did the ministerial task of accumulating on our behalf. We did not want anybody, I believe we made individual checks and gave them to you, and that was exactly what the intent was. And I would defer to whatever you think is easiest or best.
Charlie,
Sure.
can I toss in my thoughts? And you know what? I mean, of course, I'm always reading stuff over, and I've got my highlights and my this and so forth. And I'd like to send each one my ideas to you via.
Sure.
My problem was that just the wording of the sentence, because it sounds like the monetary stipend is going to the high school,
Yeah.
not
Right.
to the
Oh, I
award
see.
recipient.
That's what it sounded
Yeah.
like to me.
That
So I
I
was
think
confused by
that was
Me too. It
what
shouldn't go to the high school, it should go to the
it's
individual.
going to in the 3 years prior to here. That was my understanding, was that the student was receiving
Yeah.
the donation by us.
This was intended, yes, I understand, and we can certainly modify that
Yep.
if people agree. And does that solve your question too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
the rationale was that it was an either or. The thought being that if there was a student who said, thank you for thinking of me, but I'd prefer that the money go to the high school in memory of my best friend who had some trouble or passed away, or I'd like to buy a special set of books or a book or something with my name on it for the high school, because it was that kind of flexibility.
I see.
So it was going to be made the same amount of money, no more money.
Right, right.
But whatever's in the pot, that's what goes
That's in the
through.
pot, yeah.
But that was the reason for it. It may have been overtaken by events because we've really personalized it, and we really like to have the individual get the recognition. So I think that's a good, we didn't know exactly what we were going to end up with 5 years ago when we put this thing together.
Sure.
So that's a good thought. Is that, what, did you work up, you two word wizards, work up any
There was just-
wording?
It was ambiguous.
Well, yeah, so it was more or less, I had asked, after last year's event, the awards night, I was kind of like, I'm pretty sure in the past it's always gone to the recipient,
Yes.
not to the school. So I had asked to see what the draft looked like because
Yeah.
it wasn't ringing. So of course, I went through, and of course I like to be consistent throughout
Right.
and make sure it's clear. So if
Yeah,
it's
that's
okay
fine.
with you and everybody here, what I'll do is I'll send you my thoughts and with
Yeah.
like
That sounds
some
great.
changes,
That'd be
That sounds great.
and then you can
That's
edit.
great. I'd like that. That's fine with me.
Did you want to clarify that this monetary award is coming from the Board of Library Trustees that have to be
Oh.
stated in the policy?
If you
Or the-
if you feel you want to put that in the draft, put it in your draft, and we can consider
Okay.
the revision.
Mhm. Because that's a good clarification point, that it's not coming from
Yeah.
taxpayer.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not. That's right. Okay.
That's fine, that's fine.
Does that meet your?
That answers
I've-
my question.
I feel,
Melanie, you have any thoughts on it?
I'm looking forward to receiving
Your-
Ian's copy. Usually at home I
You can't
look through
apply for the
everything
award.
and-
she's darn.
Not that you're not young enough. It's just that you graduated high school early. Well, that's good. I think it's
Done.
I would just tell you, and people who've been around a while have appreciated it, and it's been a good thing for it's been a good thing for us, and it's been a good thing to be a part of the high school recognition and the awards.
Absolutely.
And especially since we're not spending anybody's money except our own.
Right.
I hate when I say that, it hurts me, but, but who better, who better? And if we could pick out kids to give special recognition to, a little bit extra, nothing, they're not gonna get rich,
Yeah.
but on any of this, but these are the kind of people we wanna give recognition to, and we have it. I think those would be good changes. Anybody else has any changes, could I suggest they get them to the committee chaired by Diane?
Deal.
Somehow that always seems to happen, doesn't it? Yeah, please, by all means. I
But
do
I think that
enjoy
would be,
it.
that would be a
What
good,
can I say?
Thank you.
good choice. Again, the contributions, I would just say to you, as trustees, is completely voluntary. The only person that knows the amounts or who is Layla, and she's not sworn to secrecy, but she is treating it with her usual discretion. So she's not gonna tell me, I'm not gonna ask her, she's not gonna tell anybody else, I assume. I hope, maybe her father confessor, but no, he wouldn't even tell her that. Tell him or her that, but
Now, is there a time frame for giving?
it's usually, it's awarded in the spring of the year, and what is it, the second week of,
It was like
May or
I thought it
April?
was like the first Thursday of May or
May,
something. Like-
May, yeah. So usually Layla will form her committee and talk with the folks in the high school, and it's now become sort of a routine kind of a thing. But we've had interaction with people, lots of people, the librarian at the high school at times, the guidance counselors in the high school. And we have people on our staff here
Yes, for
who
sure.
are involved. And it turns out that the people who are known and identified here in the library are also known and identified many times as the same people.
I don't think that's
From the
just a
high school side.
coincidence, John.
Isn't that amazing how that
I
works
don't
out?
think it's such a coincidence.
Surprise, surprise.
It always happens.
It does. And the wonderful, wonderful people. So that's good. Go to it, Diane. Thank you very much.
I'll be
Layla,
sure.
thanks for bringing that up. And we are, I just assume we're comfortable continuing the march. Is everybody?
Yes, so we could do donations more towards spring.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, good.
All right.
Very good. You got enough there for the time? We're
I
gonna
think
talk
so.
about it, we'll talk about it maybe at the next meeting.
Sure.
Okay, old
Put
business.
pressure on you.
How many weeks does that give me?
The problem is that she's taken it out of her binder.
Oh,
Yes, it's got holes.
This is under old business, but it's actually carryover from Layla's report, which she mentioned earlier, the fact that our policy
social
on,
media,
what is it?
the social media policy.
Social media policy has been referred to our town, has been referred through the town manager to our town legal, our town council. And that's a good thing. There are a couple of issues, as we discussed at some length earlier, that we want to be comfortable on. I would just share this stuff with you folks. And there are articles just for the timeliness of it. This was in the Washington Post. It's an op-ed piece written by Lucy Bernholz, senior research scholar at Stanford University. And has everybody got a copy?
Yes.
Just read this at your leisure. I'll just give a real quick overview. Talking about the impact of Twitter, Facebook, and other digital platforms, which is part of what we're struggling with. First, most legislators don't understand how these platforms work, and second, the tech industry isn't really prioritizing democratic norms as part of its operation. Neither is new, but both are increasingly dangerous. And then it goes on to talk about the algorithms that these digital platforms use, and the challenge of understanding what constitutes the algorithms and how the algorithms are run in order to manage content and to say which content gets selected and which content gets discarded. Very important. As a result, these digital companies have become arbiters, managers, and record keepers of our associational lives. And then at the end, and I'm jumping over some of the verbiage here, but the founders, that would be the folks that founded our country, the founders knew it when they wrote the First Amendment. Democracy requires both free speech and free association. As libraries, we're in the free speech, free association business. We can't save democracy by sacrificing one for the other. We must ensure that our digital environments protect both. So there's nothing more current than the day before yesterday, or whatever this was, maybe Monday, I guess. I just share that, and you can read it and think about it. I hate to burden you, but it's interesting. Then we go back about 100 years and pulled this out of the Wall Street Journal back in October 13th. It's from the Wall Street Journal, October 13th. Justice Holmes' free speech lesson. This talks about Chief Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. And he ruled on a number of free speech cases. But basically, the theory of, some of the theory of free speech that we're struggling with as a country and we're struggling with in our social media policy shows up here in this very early decision. I think it was in 1919, actually. I'll quote Holmes here, and again, there's a four columns of stuff here. You read it at your leisure. When men have realized that time has upset many fighting faiths, they may come to believe even more that they believe the very foundations of our own their own conduct, that their ultimate good desired is better reached by free trade and ideas. The words free trade and ideas, that sound familiar? That the best test of truth is the power of the thought to get itself accepted in the competition of the marketplace of ideas, that's my words. And that truth is the only ground upon which their wishes safely can be carried out. That, at any rate, is the theory of our Constitution. Then he goes on to say, while the experiment is part of our system, I think that we should be eternally vigilant against the attempts to check the expression of opinions that we loathe and believe to be fraught with death. Maybe you disagree with Justice Holmes, but thanks to the First Amendment, you are free to argue against him and let the best idea win. This was written by Richard Dooling, who's a teacher at the University of Nebraska College of Law and has published 7 books on this issue. And the last thing I had here, I pulled out of the New Yorker magazine back in August. And it basically talks to the same issue, similar issue that was raised in the first article I shared with you, the question of the algorithms that are used to screen information we get by the platform providers. And again, this, Layla, I did not make copies of this. I'll give you this if you feel it's appropriate. Okay. After you've had a chance to read it, maybe you can make copies for everybody.
Sure.
I didn't make a copy even for myself. But it goes on to talk about censoring the web and censoring materials that go into the web, and who has the ability to censor stuff, make decisions to take stuff away from us knowing or being able to know. And it turns out that it's the people with the algorithms. It's Google and you can actually tick them off.
Facebook.
Yeah, YouTube, Napster, whatever they are, the big 4 they talk about anyway. So in order to modify this, all the big tech firms have to do is tinker with some of their algorithms, which are proprietary and which are secret. And the point of this article is this is written by Elizabeth Colbert, who I don't know. I don't know who she is, but she's very knowledgeable about this stuff, and it's an interesting article. You'll enjoy reading it. She quotes a guy named Fair. She says, as an act of personal resistance, Fair suggests picking up a book. Isn't that interesting?
That's a novel.
If the tech companies hope to absorb the totality of our human existence, he writes, then reading on paper is one of the few slivers of life that they can't fully integrate. So you know what? I feel better. That's the business we're in, being a library. And they can't get us as long as we have a free and open library. So that's my editorial comment for the day. Thank you very much. Anyone else have any old business? Stay tuned. It's on the front pages of all the books that we're reading, and it's on our front burner with our social media policy that we're struggling with. So Anybody have anything else under old business? Good. Well, not good, but so be it. I do know that Melanie has other business, Library Friends News. Can you give us an update, Melanie?
I do have other business to discuss, Charlie.
Thank you.
Well, the Friends of the East Long Meadow Public Library, I did not attend the last meeting that they had, so Diane did, and she got all the information for me, which is wonderful. We do have the Painting with a Purpose fundraiser coming up. It will be in November of this coming year, in 2018. So it'll be a good year from now. We're looking forward to that, which is wonderful. For the month of October, we have gained 13 new members for the Friends, which is a great, a good renewal number as well. We do have 38 renewals for October, and again, the 13 new members. Laura Palmer, who is our Friends president, she told us about the Friends Sharing with Friends event, which was a meeting that took place in Chicopee. And one of the many items of importance that she did relay back to us was that if they'd like to stay up to date with current library legislation, they can sign up at cqrsengage.com/ALAMA. So it's basically, if there's something of importance that develops, they send you back an email. It's an automatic email that just gets you up to date and all that information, which is great. Also, let's see, so we have, we're starting to create a different membership, so that it's a fillable form that can be attached to the Friends website, so that it's easier for people to either renew their Friends membership or to join. So we're working on that to be connected through PayPal. And that's a great idea, just something to investigate and maybe go forward with that idea. And the holiday raffle will be starting on Wednesday, November 29th, and the drawing's going to take place on December 20th. For community news, the First Congregational Church is accepting clean and gently used coats through December 3rd, which I think we've all read in the reminder. And the next Friends meeting will take place on Monday, December 4th at 7 p.m. And something interesting happened a couple of weeks ago. I was invited to speak at the Cub Scouts at one of the den meetings. They wanted just a community member to come in, so they asked to speak. So basically, I filled out a little cheat sheet form, and basically I'm just going to be talking about how their motto is to be prepared. So I'm going to talk to them about how when I attend the Friends meetings or the Trustees meetings that, we have our paperwork. I won't bring this huge binder with me to scare the little kids, but I think it's important for them to see that, when you attend
Sure.
meetings, you're prepared, you're on time, you show up early, you look presentable, especially when you're on camera, and all that fun stuff that they'll be experiencing throughout their lives. So that's basically what their motto is probably going to be my speech theme, be prepared.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So I
Nice.
think it's so if any of you would like to join me.
You're going
So
to talk.
Homework goes
I
on
can only-
forever.
Yes, it does.
You're going to talk
It does.
about the library, I assume, representing the library.
Yes, so I'll
Uh,
be speaking about the Friends
yeah,
and
the
the
Friends,
Trustees
absolutely.
and what we all do. So I'll be speaking about both boards, just to give them something to think about, as they go through high school and college,
Yeah.
or move back home, or go in their different directions, so they can they'll have something to think about there. And I think I also want to speak to them just to get what some of their ideas are on fundraising events for the Friends. So I'm curious what their thought process is and what their ideas are.
They sometimes have
That's
great
great.
Yeah,
ideas.
and it's they're not in school right now.
Right.
So this is at their nighttime meeting. So maybe their minds will be thinking about something besides too much education during the day, and they can be fun and creative to think about something new for the library and who knows, maybe after that, the next meeting I attend, I'll bring back some ideas and you'll say, wow, you
Right.
know, so
Yeah.
it's good.
That sounds like it'll be terrific. I hope you bring us up to date on your visit. I know when I did a read, when I read to my grandson's, I guess it was his first grade class last year. Cindy helped me pick out the books.
I did.
And Layla gave me some bookmarks to give to each of the children. And they loved it. They loved them. They loved having them. So you might talk to these folks. Talk about books, talk about libraries, talk about supporting the library, volunteer basis, all that stuff.
You might bring some
Uh,
children's
She's
program things
advocating.
with you.
The you're being an advocate,
I
that's
am.
wonderful.
That is, it's an
I am.
advocate.
Absolutely.
It's a, and
And,
where are you meeting, at the library or at somebody's
I
house?
think we're meeting at one of the churches, at
Mhm.
one of the churches here in town.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they gave me the date.
That's the
so
sign?
I'll
Is
put
that
it
the
on
sign?
calendar.
Yeah, my
Is that the
I,
Cub
oh, I
Scout sign?
forget what it
My
is.
grandson is a Cub Scout, and he's saying, "I'm ready to get my Bobcat," and he did the whole pledge, because he has to say that. in order to
Bobcat?
get- Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not that up on Boy Scouts or Cub Scouting, but he said the whole thing, and it's quite long.
Ah, good for him.
And but he has to do it to the
Yeah.
den or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
And if he dance it right, then he'll be able to get his Bobcat. And he's so excited about that.
I think the highest, it used to be Webelow, I think, or something like
There's
that.
a Webelow, I don't know
I
what
don't know.
order it comes in.
Well, that's good. Thank you,
So
Melanie.
it'll be,
can
it'll be,
tell
we're-
it'll be a
awesome.
good
You
meeting.
can tell
Yeah.
we're
you know.
excited.
And I think I'll have them sit, my idea is to have them sit at a board like this. So
Sure.
I'll be in the big chair, just to have them get that sense of, you know, what it's like to, you know,
Terrific.
how you sit and,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
everything starts learning from the ground up.
It
Yeah.
does.
I forgot to, just triggered, and I apologize for being somewhat out of order. At that Friends Sharing with Friends meeting, they did let us know that the trustees, the pocket size handbook, they brought it up to date.
Oh,
And
I'll
also,
order some.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, good.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll order some new ones.
It's a pocket size, yeah.
Yep.
And that you can also get the most current trustees' full handbook. They're updating that as well. So just go to the MBLC website,
Wow.
okay? And look that up. And you
Great.
can have the most current
Yeah.
information to help guide
Because I
us
think the one I
along.
gave you was a couple years old, so I'll
Okay.
request some print copies.
The
too.
lady,
Okay.
the lady who
I'll take
was
them
doing it
Okay.
retired a year and a half, maybe 2 years now ago, and it was in limbo for quite a while, so I'm glad to hear that it's been finished. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple of questions, though. The Friends, I understand, continue to sell items to benefit the Friends organization and eventually the library. For Christmas, there are a number of items that seem to me to be very attractive, that people might come in and purchase from behind the main circulation desk.
I already have that on my agenda
Okay,
to
well-
speak at my Cub Scout
Well, how
meeting.
about telling me what I can buy for people who,
You could buy-
just 2 or 3 things. I know you've got a lot of
Okay,
stuff, but
so
maybe
we
2 or
do. We have the small gold plated or
the Christmas
shiny
ornament.
Ornament.
Christmas
I
Oh,
have
yeah,
ornaments.
ones
that's
that
very
are-
nice.
That are a picture of our library. We have note cards. We have
Okay.
postcards. We have the red and the blue tote bags.
Oh, those tote
which
bags
you
are
see
terrific.
around the library everywhere.
All over town,
They are all over
yeah.
town. So
Very
that's
nice.
another one
And,
item that I'll be discussing with them. Maybe they can come in to
Sure.
help sell for the library.
well, if anybody wants to buy any of those things as
Fundraising
gifts,
event?
they're wonderful gifts,
They all
and they do have
grandparents, they
our,
all buy stuff.
Right.
they do have our library's name on them and pictures,
They
pictures
do.
of East Long Meadow Public
Maybe I'll
Library.
bring them a couple of samples to show
Yeah.
them what,
Yeah.
you know,
There's
hopefully
nothing
the
like a
parents
visual,
will all.
yeah.
They like that.
come in.
And
Show and
the other
tell.
thing, I know Cindy's favorite thing is some of the memorial bricks that we continue to see added periodically on our walkway as
Pathway.
it comes into the library. And those are also made available through the good auspices, the auspices of our friends.
Yeah.
And so those would also be a very nice holiday gift in memory or in appreciation
Or
or
to honor
in
someone
recognition.
special.
That's
Yeah.
right. To honor someone, that's very nice, yeah. And if you need any ideas, just look down at your feet as you're walking into the library.
Have to take a picture.
Yeah, take a
Yeah.
picture
Or
or
have
bring a
them
brick.
just,
That's
maybe
right.
it'll be a field trip for them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Well,
So it's something different. It's, you know,
that'll be fun. That'll be
That's
nice.
a- That's a really
PR
good thing to do.
good advocate.
Anything else, Melanie? You got
No, I
on your
think
plate?
that's
A lot of
about
stuff
it.
going on. Anyone have anything else, old business? No? Okay. The next meeting is set for Wednesday, December 20th, 5 days before Christmas, how appropriate, at 6 PM. Any other items to come before us tonight? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's
Okay.
meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.